in Sacramento, broadcasting from the Hellweed Winery Studio. At Highway 80 Dispensary, we take pride in our quality cannabis products, customer service, and great prices. Stop by to find the perfect products and enjoy the best cannabis deals on Interstate 80. We are open 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, and we have the easiest location to get to next to Cattleman's in Dixon. Literally right off the freeway. Take the fast lane to Savings with 25% off online orders. Order now at highway80.com. That's highway80.com. License number C1000000821.
All sofas are on sale now.
The savings are amazing at Nature at Home Furnishing Sofa Sale. Save on every sofa, including gallery-exclusive, custom-ordered flex steel furniture.
Choose from hundreds of colors and fabrics.
Sofas, sectionals, recliners, all come with Flex Steel's superior blue steel highest quality spring construction.
Nobody has more styles and choices.
Naturewood, the building with the water wheel.
Tom, but Nova sent you.
At your neighborhood, Rayleigh's in Bel Air, we're here to help you save big on delicious, fresh, and seasonal ingredients. Check out what's on sale this week when you shop Rayleigh's.com for store pickup or contactless delivery. Or grab our weekly ad when you head in-store. This week, get a large pack with 3 steaks or more of Rayleigh's mouth-watering New York steak for only $7.97 a pound. Plus, get russet potatoes on sale for just 77 cents a pound. Stock up and enjoy amazing value when you shop at your neighborhood Rayleigh's in Bel Air.
Grove Dodge presents more live from the Quarry Park Amphitheater. Limited Beach on Deli VIP lounge tickets available. More October 8th. Live under the stars while enjoying fellow wines and Clarksville at Luma Space and Brewery. Another incredible ST production. More. Google ST Productions Sacramento for your Big Mountain Heating and Air ticket. That's ST Productions.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to all the leaderboards around the country. I want to say today's show, you can follow Big C Sports all around the world by 17 podcast applications. Yes, that's 17. All you got to do is say, play #1 Google Podcast, #2 Alexa, #3 Spotify, #4 Spreaker Podcast, #5 Apple Podcast, #6 iHeartRadio Podcast, #7 Castbox Podcast, #8 Deezer Podcast. You ever go to Deezer? It sounds like a freezer, doesn't it? It's all fair level. Podcast Addict, #10 Podcast Chaser, kind of like chasing those lemons all around the country after you drink that Big C. You know, that new drink that they won't tell you what it is, but it has a lemon with it. All fair lemon work. Also, you can follow Big C Sports Podcast on Podchaser. You can follow Big C Sports on GeoSavan. You can also follow Big C Sports on Podtail. You can follow, that's 13, Podcast Addict 14, Hubhopper, #15, Stitcher. You can follow Big C Sports on Radio Online, and #17, Luminary. All fair and level more. All you got to do is say, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear, welcome to the show. I'm going to introduce myself as the Sports Universe. All fair and level more. And then we're also on 4 TV applications. Go Xfinity Comcast TV. #2, Apple TV. #3, Roku TV. #4, Amazon Fire TV. And a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. So I really appreciate that. Also with Big C Sports Podcast, I want to make sure I pay homage to my family legacy. I love doing that. We don't need Ancestry.com, but I go to my family legacy on my mother's side. Mamo, called her Hattie Leach, and also a Pop, my great-grandfather and great-grandmother, and then my grandmother, Medea, and then also a Hezekiah. I really appreciate that. And then my beautiful mama, Bernice. On my father's side, Albert Curry and Alberta Curry, as well as my father, Edward Curry. My father was retired Air Force fighter pilot and mechanic, chief mechanic in the United States Air Force. My mother also started a Head Start program in Central California. My grandfather, Pop, he played Negro League baseball. And then, of course, my grandmother did everything to keep the family together. And my grandfather, Albert Curry, owned service stations in Oakland, California. He was also a pastor. So that's why I say, let's get ready to rumble! I love paying homage to where I come from. Sometimes people say they forget where they come from. Well, I never missed a show since September 12/2015, when we started Big C Sports Podcast. So that's a lot of work from one person. And then I also honor God. And I love the Bible. It says, Genesis 13:15, for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. Also, the book of James 4:2 said, we have not because we ask not. So just ask. All fair and level, where I'll make sure I keep asking when we get to Big C Sports Podcast. So that's why I love doing this show. I love paying homage to all my family that made it possible for me to be who I am and where I'm going with this show. I love sports. I think sports is $1 billion industry. Boys and girls sports is the foundation to this $1 billion industry, and I love being a part of it. That's why Espy nominated Big C Sports Podcast. Welcome to the show. Nominated for the Espy's. Reasons why? Anyone can try it. Do a show with no scripts, no teleprompters, no producer in the ear. People might say, yeah, that's very obvious, Charlton. I do it with the help of my son, Malcolm, who sends me stats. I appreciate that, Malcolm. You get a standing ovation. Also, at times, Daisy, my daughter, has helped me with information, and Big C at times in the past. But I do my show extemporaneously. Number 1, I produce. Number 2, I direct every topic. Number 3, I broadcast the show. Number 4, I do all the sound effects. Number 5, I do all of the commercials outside of what the agency does. Excuse me, did I break your concentration? I love doing that, too. I do the storytelling. Here's Johnny. I love doing that. And number 8, I do all the play-by-play. Touchdown, home run, three-point play. Oh, man, Willie, he's going all the way. The Raiders know what that means, at least the Oakland Raider fans. I don't know if they know that in Las Vegas yet. They may not have the history on the Raiders. And then I upload every show to 17 podcast applications and 4 TV applications. That says a lot about one person doing the show. And I also want to make sure on every show I pay homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. I really do appreciate that. Pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. You can definitely get some help for our veterans and their loved ones, and I really do appreciate doing that for all of our veterans. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse TV are the first place for now. San Francisco Giants, them good old boys, are kind of hanging on by the skin of their teeth over the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I really do appreciate it when you reach out to them. Just tell them Charlton still wants those World Series tickets. And I got to get them. So I hope that comes through. And when you think about it, really, just tell them Big C sent you. Our goal is simple. Recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this country to help people buy houses. It's so important. They can purchase or refinance. They can do that with the Big C team. All they got to do is go to the website. It is bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage and United Wholesale Mortgage, the number 1 and 2 lenders in the country on the wholesale side. Also, just like people want to date, they want to swipe left and swap right if that works for you. Well, houses get lonely too. If you want to get a loan, you need a loan? Really, go to the bigcsports.pacwm.com and you can go into our website and apply for loans. Also, 800-772-8624, and we'll make sure that someone gets back to you from the Big C team. That's all good. So if your houses get lonely too, remember, there's a loan waiting for you. You just gotta get qualified at all fair level work. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, "Let there be light." Open your cell phone to say play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see us pop up on 17 applications all over the world, and I really do appreciate that. The way things are growing with Big C Sports. Also, this segment sponsored by, drum roll please. I said producer, drum roll please. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? I am the producer, so sometimes when you're juggling hats like lemons, you gotta make sure you're on cue. This segment sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on your game. Sports fans, over this weekend, when you watch the big games, you can eat the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger. It comes with, what's all this exotic meat? It comes with a lot of exotic meats. I'm not going to tell you what kind of meat it is. Colonel Sanders won't give up his recipe, and neither will I give up ours. But what I can guarantee, it tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hands. I guarantee it. Tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hands, as do most things in life. If that makes sense to you. Unless your hands are dirty. The amount of your mouth and your hands are dirty. If that makes sense to you. Also, I want to tell you, as people are getting ready for the games this weekend, whether it's high school or college or NFL, Major League Baseball, whatever your thing is, make sure you don't let people drive drunk. That's important. I always want to give up that PSA. Do not let friends drive drunk. A lot of people do. They get behind the wheel of a car, and they have no business being behind the wheel of a car, but sometimes people don't tell them. I know you want to see who won the game. I know you want to hear touchdown, home run, three-point play, but be the captain of your team, and don't let people drink and drive. I also want to say today's show is sponsored by Super Draft Pro Fantasy Sports by Caesars Entertainment, the all-purpose website. Go to superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports, and you will see featured in Sports Illustrated, Yahoo Sports, Associated Press, RotoWire, and Sportico. Subscribe to unlock the exclusive fantasy games and sports. That's important. Betting experiences with Super Draft Pro, the official fantasy partner of Caesars Entertainment. Go to superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports. You can find out more about the gaming in the sports universe. Really appreciate that. I'm going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about high school football, college football, and also the big games in the NFL. In the words of the former California governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports all around the world on 17 different podcast applications. I want to pay attention. Tonight is Happy Friday. We love Happy Friday. Want to pay attention to Big C's high school football rankings. The California Trinity League takes over the Big C's Super 25 high school football teams all over this country. Number one, the Mater Dei of Southern California. And also breaking news, for the first time in 30 years, De La Salle High School falls from the rankings, the national rankings, their first loss to a Northern California team in 30 years. St. Francis of Mountain View, all's fair and love and war. Mater Dei return to action Friday. They cruised to a 49-7 win over Liberty of Henderson, Nevada in the Polynesian Football Classic. There's a lot of good football games that went on all over this country. I'm going to bring you up to Big C's top 20 high school football programs. And I love what we do with Big C Sports because we also pay homage to the high schoolers. Not everybody has the continued coverage of high school football sports because oftentimes people will just get into what's happening in college football, also in the NFL football. But I'm going to run down for you high school footballers. Welcome to the show! Friday Night Lights on Big C Sports. Number one, Mater Dei Santa Ana, California. They're 2-0. They beat Liberty of Henderson, Nevada, 49-7. What a blowout win. Another blowout win for Mater Dei of Santa Ana. They scored over 100 points in the first two games and given up only 10. They actually beat Duncanville, Texas. It was 45-3. And now they beat Henderson of Nevada, and they just keep blowing out teams. Number two, IMG Academy, Bradenton, Florida. They are 3-0. They beat Northwest of Miami 52-21. The next game is Jones High School in Orlando, Florida tonight. Number three, St. John Bosco, Bellflower, California. They are 4-0. They beat East St. Louis, Illinois 42-26. And now they're playing Oscar Smith of Chesapeake, Virginia. There's a lot of good football games going on all over the country. Number four, Westlake of Austin, Texas. They're 3-0. They beat Mansfield Summit of Arlington, Texas 59-21 last week. They're idle this week. Number five, Thompson, Alabaster, Alabama. They're 4-0. They beat Spang Park of Hooter, Alabama 49-3. Now they're playing Hewitt Trussville of Trussville. Number six, Bergen Catholic, Ordale, New Jersey. They're 2-0. They beat Del Barton. They'll play Del Barton tomorrow, actually. They were idle last week. Number seven, Bishop Gorman of Las Vegas, Nevada. They're 3-0. They beat Lone Peak of Highland, Utah 35-7. Next, they will play Chandler, Arizona's Hamilton High School. And that's amazing. That program is also a state power down there in Arizona. Number eight, Collins Hills of Suwanee, Georgia. They're 3-0. Last week they beat Rome. Not Rome, Italy, but they did beat a school called Rome out of Georgia. Next they will play Alpharetta. They play Alpharetta, Georgia tonight, just north of Atlanta. Beautiful city, Alpharetta, Georgia. Number nine, Servite High School of Anaheim, California. They are 3-0. They beat Bishop Ahmad of La Puente, California, 58-7 last week. Tonight they're playing at Sierra Canyon of Chatworth. They were the Division I AA runner-up last year in the state of California. They lost to Central of Fresno, the number 1 ranked team in the Central Valley. Number 10, Center Grove of Greenwood, Indiana. They're 4-0. Last week they beat Ben Davis of Indianapolis, Indiana, 45-21. And they will play North Central Indianapolis tonight. All fair and level war. Just going to run down a couple more teams. Number 11, Katy, Texas. Number 12, Chandler, Arizona. Number 13, Xavier of Cincinnati, Ohio. Number 14, South Lake Carroll of South Lake, Texas. Number 15, Beaufort, Georgia. Number 16, Corner Canyon, Draper, Utah. Number 17, Jesuit of Tampa, Florida. Number 18, Centennial, Corona, California. Number 19, St. Thomas Aquinas, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And Big C's top 20 Central of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Number 21, Bixby, Oklahoma. Number 22, St. Francis Academy, Baltimore, Maryland. Number 23, Gonzaga, Washington, D.C. Number 24, North Cobb of Kennesaw, Georgia. And number 25, Dutch Fork of Irmo, South Carolina. That's Big C Sports. The top 25 high school football power rankings. I love paying homage to our high school kids and not just the people that are on the side of the college and NFL teams. Really appreciate that. Bringing you Big C Sports. We'll take the Big C pause. In the words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports all around the world on 17 podcast applications. But I want to make sure that when you follow college football this week, we're going to talk about some college football games, Big C Sports styles. Make sure you get the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meats. It goes great with the Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, and it goes great with the Big C Burger. My goodness, are you ready for some football? College football style. I am. Yes, I am. College football is amazing. We have a lot of good games. I want to bring up a couple of games and then get more detail about the remainder of games in college football. Big C Sports bringing to you college football. This week, some games. Nebraska, they're at number 3, Oklahoma. It's a 12 o'clock noon kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And Oklahoma's favored by 22.5. We have New Mexico there, a 12 o'clock kickoff at number 7, Texas A&M on the SEC network. That's a 12 o'clock kickoff it's a noontime on the SEC network. And A&M's giving them 29.5 points. Indiana, what a game. Indiana, they're at home. Number 8, Cincinnati. They're a 3.5-point favorite at Indiana under the Big Ten. It's a 12 o'clock noon kickoff East Coast time on ESPN. That's a game worth watching. Cincinnati's ranked higher than every team in the Big Ten except for one. We'll figure out who it is after that. Number 15, Virginia Tech. They're getting 2.5 at West Virginia. It's a 12 o'clock noontime kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports 1. Number 16, Coastal Carolina. They are minus 14 at Buffalo. There's a 12 o'clock noon kickoff East Coast time on ESPN 2. Here's an interesting game coming up. Michigan State, they're getting 6.5 points. It's a 12 o'clock p.m. kickoff on ABC Sports. They're at number 24, Miami, the Hurricanes. We'll see how the Hurricanes are doing after they play this team from the Big Ten. We know they were blown out by Alabama of the SEC. Will the ACC bounce back? We'll see. Another big game to pay attention to. Northern Illinois at number 25, Michigan. Michigan's a 27.5-point favorite. It's a 12 o'clock noontime kickoff East Coast time on the Big Ten Network. Pay attention to how Michigan responds after a good whipping they gave the Washington Huskies. Another interesting game, Purdue. They're getting 7 points at number 12, Notre Dame. It's a 2:30 p.m. kickoff on NBC Sports. That's the East Coast time kickoff. The game that a lot of people are paying attention to, especially in the South. The weather should be good. Number 1, Alabama. They're only a 14.5-point favorite over Florida. At number 11, Florida, in the Swamp. It's a 3:30 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. Don't be fooled by the fact that Alabama nearly beat Florida last year in the SEC championship game. I think this Alabama team, all they do is reload. I don't see how Florida's any better than Miami. Just my opinion. I doubt if Florida can stay within 14 points of Alabama. To me, I'm looking at maybe a 3-touchdown spread in that game for Alabama because they learn how to win, and they win big against everybody, it seems. We actually have Kent State. They're at number 5, Iowa, which is the only team in the Big Ten that's ranked above Cincinnati, which is not a Power 5 school. Iowa's getting 22.5-point favorite. It's a 3:30 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on the Big Ten Network. So pay attention there for you guys in the Big Ten. We have Georgia Tech at number 6, Clemson. Clemson's a 28-point favorite. It's a 3:30 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on ABC Sports. So the good old boys at ABC will have that one. We have Tulsa. They're getting 24.5. They're at number 9, Ohio State. I think Ohio State's right around top 5 in my opinion. Tulsa lost to UC Davis, a Division II program, in their first game. Now they're going to Ohio State, which is going to try to put 50 on the board. You'd be nuts to schedule Ohio State after getting beat by Oregon. Oregon's a lot better team than a lot of people gave them credit for. And Oregon played without 2 studs on defense. Spencer Quavon Thibodeau didn't play. But that shows you how good Oregon is this year. And I think people will see that win was not a fluke. We have Georgia Southern. They're at number 20, Arkansas, that just had a beatdown of Texas. So much. Welcome to the ACC. You want to go to the SEC? Come on, go ahead. It's all fair. It's will have been warned. But Arkansas, they got a beatdown of Texas last week. They're favored by 23.5 over Georgia Southern. It's a 4:30 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on the SEC Network. Gathone Network. South Carolina at number 2, Georgia. I think Georgia's ranked too high in my opinion. But they are a 31-point favorite, the Bulldogs are. It's 7 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time. On ESPN, they have that game. So we'll see what happens. The team that I like is Oregon. They're at home against Stony Brook. Like Stony Brook, yeah, they're taking on an Alabama-type schedule. Stony Brook is coming out to Oregon. Oregon's ranked number 4 in the polls, even though I have them at number 2. It's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on the Pac-12 network. And there's no point spread on this one, but I'm going to say Oregon's going to hold up the horses, and they're going to beat them by 30. So I'm looking at somewhere, maybe it's going to be a 50-20 game or 50-17. I think they're going to play a lot of backup players to get ready for Pac-12 play. So if you see a score like 50-20, don't think, oh, Oregon didn't really do that well against them. They're going to save up some of their players for Pac-12 play. Just my opinion, coming off that big win at Ohio State. The big game that a lot of people are looking forward to is number 22 Auburn at number 10 Penn State. Penn State's a 5.5-point favorite. It's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC Sports. So we'll see what happens. The ABC is carrying that game. That's SEC versus the Big Ten. I think Penn State is 0-5 versus SEC. I think the last time they played an SEC team at home, they played Alabama back in 2011. They had just come off a Peach Bowl win beating LSU in 2010. So we'll see what happens. I think Penn State's going to get that win as long as it's not too much distraction with Franklin being talked about with the USC job, is my opinion. Go get Nick Saban. They got OG. OJ's already on his way to get Nick Saban in the back of the truck. They get OJ has Nick Saban in the back of the truck. He has a gun to his head. He's signing the contract right now as we speak. Don't laugh about that if you're not having a personality. I think that's funny. He's got a gun to his head. He's signing the contract right now as we speak. All fair. And level one. USC, go big time. Go big or go home. Just my opinion. I want to bring it to another game. Virginia, they're at number 21, North Carolina. North Carolina is a 7.5-point favorite. It's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff, and that's East Coast time. And they have it on the ACCN, so the ACC conference, their network. Tulane, they're getting 14 at number 17, Ole Miss, 8 p.m. kickoff on ESPN2. Number 19, Arizona State. Think about this game. Arizona State is at number 23, BYU. We play to win the game. This is big for the Pac-12. BYU just beat Utah. Utah was ranked in the top 25 at that time. Now Arizona State comes to town with a really good quarterback, a solid running game, and a solid defense. I'm going to go, if you think about this, the national sports writers are giving BYU a 4-point favorite. I'm going to go with Arizona State to win that game. Maybe 35-31, could be 38-35, but I'm going with Arizona State to go onto the Wasatch Mountains and beat BYU. People say what? Yeah, at LaVell Edwards Field. Arizona State travels well. They beat Michigan State a couple years ago because they played to win the game. So I'm looking at that. And then number 14, Iowa. They're at UNLV. UNLV is getting 32.5. So Iowa State's a big favorite, even though they were blown out at home by Iowa. It's a 10:30 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports Network. Now, another game that I like a lot for the West Coast, Fresno State, they are getting 11.5 points. They're at UCLA. And some polls have UCLA number 13. I have UCLA at number 5. I think that beatdown of LSU was not an accident. It was not a coincidence. I think you'll see LSU will have a good season this year, but people can see that UCLA, playing a local team in California, Fresno State, a lot of those players get up for the UCLA game. I'm going to say the point spread is about accurate. They have UCLA favored by 10, even though they beat LSU by 11. And that really wasn't that close because they could have scored a 50 on LSU. But I'm going to say the California boys from the Central Valley keep it a little bit more competitive than the LSU game. I'm going to go maybe somewhere about 38 to 28, somewhere in there. We'll see what happens. It's all fair and level war. I love when California teams play California teams. It's all fair and level war. We're going to take the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. Are you ready for some football? In the words of the former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C timeout, also known as the Big C pause. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe. In fact, there's 17 of them. So it's hard to pick a side. When you got 17 mouths to feed, you must be a former professional athlete. That's a joke, guys. Don't get upset, okay? It's a joke. Anyone who got 17 mouths to feed, you're a former professional athlete. It's all fair and level war. All fair and level war. Don't get mad at me. You guys know it's true. I want to tell you, go to your best gaming industry. It's called the SuperDraftPro.com/Big C Sports. Sponsored by Caesars Entertainment. It's a great sports app out there for a lot of people that love to gamble and focus on sports and having fun. Last night, NFL football. Are you ready for some football? A Thursday night party! It started Thursday night in Landover, Maryland. Actually, in Virginia, we had the Washington football team beat the New York Giants 30-29 on a field goal with no time left Thursday in a game that featured 3 lead changes. In the last 5 minutes, Washington is now 1-1. New York fell to 0-2 for the 5th time in 5 seasons, the 5th season in a row. And when you think about what happened, it was a game that came down to possessions. And you think about it, Tyler Henneke, he had a great game, Taylor Henneke, actually. A great game. Him as well as that defense for Washington. And then they had, I think, a good old boy from New York from jumping off sides. Not going to blame him. But you think about defensive end Chase Young. They have so much defense in Washington, but it's a game that the Giants let get away. The Giants had that game, and they came down to the end where Washington comes up and kicks a field goal and misses it. But the Giants have jumped off sides. I'm not going to bring out the player's name because I don't believe in shaming people, but it's a big game, 30-29. It's an NFC East game, and the Washington football team, they're off to a good start. I know there's a lot of talk about bringing in Cam Newton. I still think they should. Tyler Henneke, as well as he played last night. The Giants are 0-2. What do you expect? So we'll see what happens if they try to progress in their division and also progress in football as the season gets closer to being more competitive. Right now, we're coming up on week 2. A lot of people are just filling themselves out. They really don't know what they have on offensive defense, but there are a lot of players who are going to be adjusting to what's going on in their respective conferences and divisions. There's a lot of good football games coming up this week. I really look forward to it. I think last week, what did we learn from last week? It seemed like a long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Dallas Cowboys, also on a field goal. Just like last night, we had NFC East teams losing on field goals. What does that tell you about playing good defense? If it takes a field goal to beat you, that means the defenses are playing a lot better this year in the NFC East. All fair and level war, but it's just week 1. Coming up in week 2, we have a lot of good games I want to get to. And it's Big C's thoughts. Everybody has their own opinions. But I'm going to start out with a big game in the NFC. Actually, I'm going to start with the AFC. The Buffalo Bills, they are 0-1 at the Miami Dolphins that are 1-0. The National Posters, they had it flipped last week. They had New England beating the Dolphins. And they had the Steelers losing at Buffalo. Big C Sports picked Buffalo to lose that game at Pittsburgh, at home versus Pittsburgh. I also picked the Dolphins to go into Foxborough and beat the the Patriots. So I'm going to stick with that. Now, this game is a tough one. I don't see the Bills going 0-2. They're a solid defense. I know the Dolphins are a good team, but it's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And when you think about this, over-under is 47.5. You think about it, Buffalo's -3. I agree with it. As good as Miami's defense is, I don't see Buffalo losing 2 in a row with touchdown Stephon Diggs. They dominated Pittsburgh in the first half of that game. Pittsburgh adjusted under Mike Tomlin the second half. But what to watch for, the Dolphins have yet to solve Josh Allen over the course of his career. In 6 career games, touchdown Allen is 5-1 against the Miami Dolphins. 1,552 passing yards and 17 touchdowns! Buffalo! And just 4 interceptions. So the prediction for me is Allen's going to throw at least 3 touchdown passes. The Bills' offense is going to get on track. I think Allen's had the most career success against the Dolphins. He has to throw for at least 3 touchdown passes in 4 of the 6 games against Miami. He's averaged 8.7 yards per attempt in those games. And Miami's defense, especially the secondary, it could cause some issues for the Bills, especially if they watch and see what the Steelers did in the second half against Buffalo. But I'm still going to go. My gut tells me that a Bill or a Buffalo, if they were to fight a Dolphin, they'd win, especially out of water. Speaking of that, this segment is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all these exotic meats? In water, a Dolphin would win every time against the Buffalo. But I'm going Big C's thoughts on the Buffalo Bills getting that win. It's just my opinion. In my opinion, it's just like anybody else. I love the sports world. I want to get in to another thing about the next game coming up. I really like this game. We have the Los Angeles Rams, they're 1-0. At the Indianapolis Colts, they're 0-1. It's a 1 o'clock p.m. East Coast time kickoff on Fox Sports. Now keep this in mind. The Rams are favored by 3.5. The over-under is 48. The Rams can get 48 by themselves, but they're not going to. I have the Rams winning this game, and I'll get into why. Especially if Carson Wentz was injured in the Coliseum against the Rams. Maybe when he sees the horns on those helmets, he might have some flashbacks. All fair and love and war. But watch for sack man Aaron Darnold versus Quentin Nelson, the NFL's best interior defensive lineman against the league's best guard. Nelson an all-pro in each of his first 3 seasons in the NFL. He's going to have his hands full. Like your hands full when you eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all these exotic meat? Now, a Ram and a Colt has to be. This game is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meat? A Ram and a Colt is exotic meat, last I checked. But think about this. Darnold's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Every team schemes for a player like Darnold. The Colts coach, Frank Wright, said you cannot scheme for him on every play because he's not at the same spot every play. He moves around. That's what makes him so difficult. So I like that touchdown Matthew Stafford is going to go back and throw for more than 300 yards. I think he'll throw for 300 yards in this game. I'm going to give him 3 touchdown passes in a dominant offensive performance. Stafford had a huge week 1. Saw him pass for 321 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Bears defense that's similar to what you're going to find in Indianapolis. No interceptions. That's incredible. So when you think about it, they had a 20-point win over the Bears. Bears are just as good as the Colts. They were at home. I don't think there's going to be any lag time. What Seattle did to the Colts, 4 touchdowns. Watch for the Rams coach Sean McVay to go up top, a lot like Eric Coryell for the Chargers back in the day. So I'm liking the fact that Stafford has not started the season 2-0 since 2017. If he gets at least 300 yards passing against the Colts, he'll have the most passing yards in his first 2 games of a season in his whole career. Stafford's going to go over 300 yards in that game. Just my opinion. I'm looking at maybe a game, the Rams 35, the Colts 20, somewhere in there. I don't think that's too far off. I think if you look at all the passing talent that the Rams have, is too much for the Colts unless they have a lot of turnovers. I don't see there being a lot of turnovers in this game. All fair level work. Then I'll take you to another game for Big C Sports. The Saints, they're 1-0. Touchdown Jameis Winston at the Carolina Panthers. They're also 1-0. Now, keep this in mind. You have Sam Darnold versus Jameis Winston. Both of them were much maligned, and people didn't really want them. But I like this. This is a conference game. It's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. New Orleans favored by 3. That can be a little bit tricky. I know people say, wow, they blew out Green Bay, but Green Bay had a bad game, and Aaron Rodgers is only 1-4 in Florida. So it's an interesting call for me. What I'm looking at, the Panthers quarterback touchdown Sam Darnold. He was sacked only once, but they hit him 7 times by the Jets. If the Jets can hit you 7 times, you're probably going to hit 7 times 2 against the Saints. That defense is aggressive. But he has to go up against a strong Saints defensive front that sacked Aaron Rodgers twice, hit him 7 times, forced 3 interceptions. I'm thinking Sam Darnold himself and the Saints defensive end, Cameron Jordan, they can wreak havoc. I really think that the Saints are a much better team. And if you think about it, people thought it was an upset over the Packers. I don't think so. Touchdown Jameis Winston threw 5 touchdown passes. Even if he only throws 3 in this game, I still give the Saints a better chance because Alvin Kamara is the real deal running the ball. And that's just my opinion. Cornerback Bradley Roby will have an interception in this game in his Saints debut after arriving in a trade from Houston last week. The Saints defense has taken the next step up mentality. They're dominant despite several key players missing from last season. They may have to do it again. Cornerback Marshawn Lattimore and now dealing with a thumb injury. New Orleans secondary is going to be tested by Carolina's dynamic receivers. But I don't think Sam Darnold's a better quarterback than Bridgewater when he played there last year. Touchdown Jameis Winston looks to lead the Saints to their first 2-0 start since 2013. In 10 career starts versus the Panthers. He has a total QBR of 40, but he's a different quarterback since he's had the LASIK surgery. The Saints have not started 2-0 with touchdown Drew Brees since 2013. They will go 2-0 with touchdown Teddy Bridgewater. Just my opinion. Alvin Kamara, for you guys on the Super Draft Fantasy, Big C Sports, Alvin Kamara might be in this fantasy game. I'm going to look at one more thing. The Saints have covered every game last season and went under the total 6, making them the only team in the league to do so. Week 1, they covered easily. I'm going with the Saints to get 30 points in this game. Panthers may get around 21, 30, 21, somewhere in there. That's a lot, but I understand it. We'll see what happens. The next big game that I really want to pay attention to, I'm going to cover a lot of the 49ers games this year in Northern California. The 49ers, they're 1-0. They're at the Eagles 1-0. It's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. San Francisco's getting 3-point favorite on the road. I got to say, watch this matchup. I think they'll win by more than 3. I know the Eagles beat down Atlanta, but everybody does. This matchup is all about the explosive plays. Philadelphia did not allow a single pass play of more than 20 yards last week down in Atlanta. Arthur Blank paid $155 million Matt Ryan. Not even one pass over the 20 yards. No play over 20 yards, my opinion. But the Niners offense was 3rd in explosive pass plays against the Lions with 5. Again, they blew out the Lions. It's just they let off the gas for the point spread to come back closer. Eagles corner Darius Slade liked the 49ers receiver Deebo Samuel to a faster Iquan Bolton, who is big, strong, and fast, and said the key to success against such a dynamic offense is to read his keys and stay disciplined. Shanahan has a good game plan going into this game. I really like the Niners. The 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell, he's going to go over 100 yards, rushing for the 2nd straight week to begin his rookie season. The 6th-round pick was a relative unknown player a week ago, set the record for rushing yards, 104 by a Niner in his rookie debut. Reminds me a lot like Roger Craig, who came out of Nebraska a couple decades ago. Did that against the Lions. Remember, they let up against the Lions. They're not going to let up against the Eagles. Now, just a thought. Samuel had a career-high 189 yards receiving in Week 1. If he reaches 100 against the Eagles, and I think he will Sunday, he would have the most receiving yards in the first 2 games of the season by a 49er player in team history. That's including touchdown, Jerry Rice. I'm picking the Niners to win the NFC Championship this year. I know everybody's all gung-ho over Tampa Bay, all that jazz about how the Rams are good, the Seahawks are good. Everybody's liking those teams. But I'm telling you, Green Bay's a good team too. But this 49er football team is it's just an amazing team this year. Their defense is back. A betting nugget for you guys on superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports. Touchdown Jimmy Garoppolo's 8-4 against the spread in the regular season on road games since 2019. I think the 49ers are legit. I think they're going to do a 35-24 victory. 49ers 35, Eagles 24, somewhere in there. That's just my opinion. They're a lot better team than people think. Now, here's another game. Think about the Immaculate Conception. Oh, excuse me, producer. That's Immaculate Reception. But there could be no Immaculate Reception without an Immaculate Conception. If that makes sense to you. That's the Raiders and the Steelers. Now, the Raiders 1-0. At the Steelers 1-0. Both teams were underdogs in the first game. The Raiders were underdog at home to the Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers were underdog on the road at the Buffalo Bills. It's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on CBS Sports. And Pittsburgh's a 6-point favorite. And I think they'll get it. The Raiders don't do well on the road, especially early games. Now, the Steelers confused Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills quarterback, with their defensive versatility, moving safety Fitzpatrick all around the field, a lot like Mel Blount back in the day. But look at them to look at that versatility with guys such as Fitzpatrick, Cam Sutton, Trey Norwood, and keep an eye on outside linebacker Melvin Ingram III, TJ Sackman Watt, who had 2 sacks last week, and Alex Highsmith, trying to maximize tight end Darren Waller, a player who has their attention after 19 targets a week ago. That's against Baltimore, which is banged up in the secondary. The Steelers are a different breed of cat, especially at home. I'm looking at what happened with Watt, a 4-year, $112 million extension. The ink is still yet to dry on that. The Steelers' defense is legit. They were figuring things out in the first half against the Buffalo Bills. I think the Raiders, they're a decent team, but they're not as good as Buffalo. And in my opinion, Big Ben Roethlisberger, he needs 3 passing touchdowns to become the 8th NFL player with 400 passing yards. And I think he'll get it. Just think about it. There have been only 2 series in NFL history featuring 5 straight games decided by exactly 3 points. Keep an eye on Big Ben Roethlisberger. I think this game is a closer game than some people think, but I still see the Steelers winning by that touchdown. I know they're favored by 6. I'm going to have them winning maybe 30-21. It's not going to be a double-digit win, but 30-21 is my opinion. The Steelers, because they play well at home, and the Raiders don't play well in early games, especially under Gruden. I'm going to bring you to another game. The Texans, they're at the Cleveland Browns. The Texans are 1-0, Houston Texans. At Cleveland, this is for you. The dog pound will be rocking and maybe throwing some bones, especially if they keep throwing the ball too much. It's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. The Browns are 0-1. The spread is Cleveland. This is for you. They're a 12.5-point favorite. That's too much in most NFL teams. Maybe not too much against Houston. So how's Houston quarterback Tyrod Taylor perform in this game? They beat down Jacksonville, different team. Touchdown Baker Mayfield took over for Taylor as a rookie during the 2018 season. Taylor, for his leadership and mentorship this week, I think Taylor's going to love nothing more than showing Mayfield another thing or two on Sunday. It's hard to pick this game because no one knows how bad Jacksonville is. But the Browns hold the Texans to fewer than 50 rushing yards. That's a prediction, maybe. But that's maybe not a bad thing for the Texans because that gives Taylor a chance to run and pass more. Houston ran for 120 yards on 37 carries in Week 1 against Jacksonville. Cleveland, they're a little bit different type of defense. So I'm going with Cleveland to get that win. Tyrod Taylor's going to have a great game. But this is why Cleveland's going to win. Because coach is going to take his head out of his backside and hand off to touchdown Kareem Hunt. Including playoffs, Kareem Hunt has scored 5 times in his past 5 games. He scored 13 times in his first 24 games with the Browns. Give that boy the ball. Touchdown Baker Mayfield, he's just 4-8 against the spread in his past 12 games. Quit passing the ball. Run the ball. Give the ball to Hunt. That's my opinion. If they do that, they're most likely going to win. I'm going to go with Cleveland running the ball more. It might be a closer game than some people think. They have a 12.5-point spread. People in Vegas sometimes know. But last night they had the over-under with the Giants and the Washington football team at just 40. And that ended at 49 points. So, my opinion is it's going to be a good game, a better game than people give it credit for, but I still have the Browns winning 30-21, somewhere in there. 30-21 is my opinion, but you can do all you want with it. I still think that Cleveland defense is legit. If they run the ball more, they'll be fine. We have another game, that the Patriots 0-1 at the New York Jets 0-1, 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff on CBS Sports, and New England is a 6-point favorite. So you have two rookie quarterbacks going at it, Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. Coming off encouraging openers, they meet for the first time in what should be a long personal rivalry, these two teams and these players. It's a new feel for the Patriots-Jets series, which is dominated by veteran quarterback Tom Brady over the last 2 decades, and the Jets have had a potpourri of quarterbacks coming in, cycling through players. Think about this. The Patriots' first rookie starter since Drew Bledsoe in 1993, and he ended up being injured later in his career, and that's how Tom Brady came on the scene. It's the first time in the 62-year history of this rivalry that rookie quarterbacks are starting against each other. The Patriots are going to make running back J.J. Taylor inactive as a result of the rookie Rodsmore Stevenson has struggled in the opener. Taylor's presence as a compliment to Damian Harris and James White is going to be key against the Jets defense that blitz 42% of the time in the opening week. They got to blitz a lot. Mac Jones can't read the blitz that well. And I really think the last-minute rookie quarterback to beat the Patriots, Miami's Tua Tagovailoa last week. It's amazing how you have Mac Jones going up against two inexperienced quarterbacks week after week. I still give the Patriots the win in this game. I don't think Bill Belichick gets beat twice. Saleh is a new coach for the Jets. I think the Patriots win this one 22-17. Somewhere in there, 22-17, 22-19. I'm going with the Patriots to get the win because of their defense. The Broncos at the Jaguars. The Broncos are 1-0. The Jacksonville Jaguars 0-1. A 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And Denver 6-point favorite against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Might double up that, in my opinion. The Jaguars offense, they struggled last season. When you think about it, Cam Robinson and Jawan Taylor combined allowing 27 sacks last year. And now you look at what's happened in the first game. Even if Bradley Chubb doesn't play or is limited, Von Miller would be hard to handle on that defense for the Broncos. The Jaguars keep tight end Chris Manhertz to help the tackles out because Von Miller's going to have a couple of sacks in this game. The Broncos defense will have at least, in my opinion, 7 sacks in this game against the Jaguars. They couldn't handle Texans. Imagine what Denver's going to do when that horse comes to town. And speaking of, this game is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meats? Because the Jacksonville Jaguar and a Bronco are exotic meats. Last I checked, they're on the exotic meats menu. All for $11 Touchdown, Trevor Lawrence. Welcome to Von Miller. The Broncos are a defense that can dominate a game. We saw what happened last week when they beat up the Giants. The Giants had taken the Washington football team down to a missed field goal. They were about to be 1-0. Well, the Broncos are a much better team, and I think it's going to be a long day for Jacksonville. So, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. Touchdown Teddy Bridgewater, he's 22-3 against the spread. On the road as a starter. But his rare losses came against the spread in week 2 of last season at Tampa Bay, different teams. I'm going with the Broncos 35, the Jaguars 17. I don't think it's going to be a close game at all. Denver's going to put a lot of heat on Trevor Lawrence and Von Miller and them good old boys. They'll be coming to eat. Speaking of eating, I told you, sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger. It comes with, what's all this exotic meats? All for $11. Wow, what a game. The Bengals at the Bears. Who would have thought? Cincinnati Bengals 1-0 at the Chicago Bears 0-1. We were just there. We were just there. You may hear that at Soldier Field. It's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. Chicago's a 2.5-point favorite with touchdown Andy Dalton. Over touchdown Joe Burrow, I don't know if you want to buy that. But watch for Justin Fields. He's always the center of attention. The Bears rookie quarterback played 5 snaps and scored a rushing touchdown. In 5 snaps, 1 rushing touchdown. In 5 snaps, 1 rushing touchdown. Give him 10 snaps, if that makes sense to you. 5 snaps, 1 rushing touchdown, give him 10 snaps. So what Fields will do for an arm curl, we'll see. The entire city of Chicago, they're on edge about the Bears. If they don't get him into this game, especially if they lose to a team that can throw the ball. You might see Phil start next week. If Andy Dalton and the Bears can win, then Andy Dalton, keep doing things the way they are. The whole division went winless last week. Packers lost, Vikings lost, the Lions lost, and of course the Bears lost. I predict the Bengals will have 2 wideout receivers, at least 80 yards receiving, because touchdown Joe Burrow can throw. Chicago surrendered 4 completions, 138 yards last week. That's a telltale sign. I think the Bengals have the NFL's worst road record of 3 wins, 20 losses at one time since 2018. Touchdown Joe Burrow is looking to be the first road win of his career. He's 0-5-1 with a total QBR of 45 and 6 career road starts. They're on the road. Go with the Bears. We won justice. We won justice. This segment is sponsored by the Big C Burger. Is a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meats? A bear and a bingo. Last I checked, they're exotic meats. That's all fair. It's never war. I'm going with the Bears to win this one, and I'm going to give them maybe 28-21, somewhere in there. 28-21 Bears. The Bears. Now the Vikings at Carolina. The Vikings 0-1 at the Cardinals 1-0. 4:05 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And the spread, Arizona's getting 3.5. At home, when they should. Carolina's coming to town. And we'll see what happens. Sam Darnold going into the desert. Coming back to the West Coast. We'll see. Arizona's 3.5. They might win by more than that. I know that was a beat down at Tennessee. But now they're at home. What I'm going to watch for, of course, all eyes are on Kyler Murray. Just because he's unpredictable. And he's so exciting. When you think about it, Kirk Cousins threw for 351 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. If the Cardinals defense plays like it did in Tennessee, and Chandler Jones goes for another few sacks, then I think about it, Minnesota, their offense, I don't know what to say about the Vikings yet. But Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold are a lot like, in my opinion. Okay? I know the Vikings need to get a win. I don't think it's going to come this week, though. Kirk Cousins reminds me of Sam Darnold. But he has a big $84 million contract, so people don't look at it that way. I'm going with the Kyler Murray and Arizona to beat the Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. My prediction, Jones and J.J. Watt will each get a sack. I don't think penalties are going to hurt Minnesota's offense like they did in week 1. The Cardinals have a solid defensive front. They shut down Tennessee. That should tell you a lot about this team. Murray threw for a career-high 4 touchdown passes in week 1 versus the Titans. The Titans are a better team than Minnesota. 3 of those coming on 3rd down. You want to get a team in 3rd and long, doesn't matter against the Cardinals. He's the first Cardinal player with 4 touchdown passes and a rushing score since 1962, Charlie Johnson. That's how good he is. Now, for you bettors out there, for superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports, the unders are 10-2-1 in Arizona games played in the first month of the season since 2018. I'm going to go with Arizona 35, the Vikings 21. 35-21. That defense for Arizona is really good. Their offense is amazing. We'll see what happens. Now, another big game that's not big for my sakes, but it's big for marquee quarterbacks. The Atlanta Falcons, they're 0-1. They're on the road at the defending Super Bowl champion. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, touchdown, Tom Brady. Touchdown, Tom Brady. It's a 4:05 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And Tampa is a 12.5-point favorite. That may not even be enough. It's rare that a team manages to come away with a victory being -3 in the turnover margin, but the Buccaneers did that against the Cowboys in week 1. Cut down those mistakes against Atlanta would be a key role. On the other side of things, how long will the Falcons coach Arthur Smith stick with the running game against the league's top-ranked defense? Over the past 2 years, since the Cowboys didn't need it last week after getting big chunk plays, touchdown Dak Prescott, I think Tampa Bay's secondary is going to eat. They're going to eat a lot of big C burgers, which comes with, what's all that exotic meat? Last I heard of Falcon is a bird, and a bird is an exotic meat, if that makes sense to you. My prediction, Ryan's going to have at least 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against Tampa, but it still results in maybe 2 interceptions. It's going to be a loss, Will they find a way to get on track offensively? Ryan had 621 yards and 5 touchdowns in 2 games against the Buccaneers last season. Different defense. Tom Brady, touchdown Tom Brady, going to have 300 yards again. I think he's always looking forward to marquee quarterback versus marquee quarterbacks. The Falcons are going to be 0-2 after this game. A stat to know, Brady has a career record. He's 8-0 against the Falcons. We all know the Super Bowl 25-point comeback. He's 8-0 against the Falcons. He'll be 9-0 after this game. For you sports fantasy guys that go to superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports, playoffs include Antonio Brown has run more than 25 routes 8 times in his Buccaneers career, including last week 36 routes. Tampa won 5 of those games. Antonio Brown found the end zone all 5. Antonio Brown will score for you fantasy guys on superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports. You'll hear touchdown Tampa. Antonio Brown, 50 yards. It's all fair, Levin War. I really like a runaway win for Tampa, 35-20. I'm going to say 35-20 in this game. Just a thought. A big game on the West Coast. How about them Cowboys? The Cowboys are 0-1, all because they lost by a field goal at Tampa. They finished Super Bowl champions. Now they're at, this might be really odd to say. It's my prediction. I don't have a clue, but it's a hunch. The Cowboys 0-1 at the Chargers 1-0 at beautiful SoFi Stadium. I think the crowd would be 50-50. That's a shame to say. Open up in your home crowd in Los Angeles. The Cowboy fans travel very well. The crowd would be 50-50. So when you hear touchdown Cowboys, you might hear the crowd going nuts because they'll buy up half the tickets. It's a 4:25 p.m. East Coast time to kick off CBS Sports. And the clip, think about this. The Chargers 3.5-point favorite, and they might get it because they're a good team. The Chargers touchdown Justin Herbert. He's the real deal. Don't blink on this guy. It's going to be Austin Eckler through the air after the running backs didn't have a catch in week 1. The Los Angeles Chargers coach Brandon Staley said the team needs to work on Eckler in the passing game. On the other side, the Cowboys, they need to get a game from Ezekiel Elliott to go 1-1 in the season. If Ezekiel Elliott can run the ball 20 times, if he doesn't get 100 yards, might want to work on another running back. Because he looked like he was spent against Tampa. Just blame it on the humidity. This is an air-conditioned stadium. My bold prediction, touchdown Dak Prescott. He's not going to go for 400 yards in this game, but he'll get over 300. In the past 4 games he started and finished, has thrown for at least 403 yards. 403 yards. He's the first player in league history with 4 400-yard games in a 5-game span. He has 8 400-yard passing games since 2016. The most in the NFL. But the Cowboys, they're just 1-3 in those games. Because they don't have a running game. If they don't have a running game in this game, they're going to get beat. He'll throw for over 350 yards. If touchdown Prescott throws for over 400 yards, they're going to lose. If he's around 300, maybe they'll win because their running game would be effective. It's just a thought. The Cowboys looking to avoid their first 0-2 start since 2010. The only time they started 0-2 with both games on the road, 1989, while the Chargers have won the past 3 games versus Dallas, they are 0-3 against Mike McCarthy-led teams. What does he know about them? For you fantasy guys, go to superdraftpro.com/draft, Big C Sports. The Cowboys are a 3-point underdog, so touchdown Dak Prescott has their opponent right where he wants them in the past 3 losses. Prescott's averaging 57.7 passes and 30 fantasy points per game. He can't go throwing the ball 60 times, 57 times. If he's throwing the ball over 45 times, the Cowboys probably lose. That means they don't have a running game. I still think it's a closer game than what some people think. I'm going to go with the Chargers 31 and the Cowboys 28. Just a thought. 31-28, just my opinion. But there's a caveat. Not so fast, my friend. If Ezekiel Elliott can get 100 yards, he's going to have to touch the ball at least 20 times. Then the Cowboys have a chance to win on a field goal. But they're not going to run it 20 times because he oftentimes runs backwards. Or he doesn't have that give you the hip and take it away anymore. It's a sad thing to see, but we'll just see what happens. I'm going to go to the Tennessee Titans up in the Great Northwest. I'll be doing a couple of games in Seattle this year. Touchdown, Seahawks! DK Metcalf, 50 yards. What a game. On paper, the Titans are 0-1. At Seattle, 1-0. It's a 4:25 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And Seattle's a 6-point spread at home. The over-under is 54. What to watch for Seattle defense? It must be licking his chop watching the Titans allow 6 quarterback sacks in their blowout loss to Arizona, another team from the NFC West. The Seahawks got to Carson Wentz early last week. Now their pass rushers have decided to be more aggressive, like the Legion of Boom. They have the crowd noise. Oh my God, the loudest crowd in the history of the universe up in Seattle. Some people say Kansas City. I don't know. Not so fast, my friend. At Lumen Field, which could be as loud as ever with the fans coming back. What a game. I'm looking forward to all the exotic meats. In fact, this segment is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on its game. It's also sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meats? The fish marker should be loud up in Seattle. But Lumen Field will be loud like a lightning storm. Thunder and lightning. You're going to hear that. I can't wait to hear this game. The crowd is going to be amazing. Now, the Titans will score at least a touchdown in the first quarter. That's saying a lot considering how Tennessee gained only 4 yards in the first 4 drives last week. The Seahawks are playing 2021 home opener at Lumen Field, and the crowd will be nuts. You can hear them right now. They're getting ready for it. All of them eating the Big C burgers. It's a tasty burger. It comes with, what's all that exotic meats? I'm looking forward to this. And something for you good old boys to know, the Titans have allowed more than 35 points in their past 3 regular season games. Touchdown Russell Houdini Wilson put on a 4-touchdown clinic last week. It's entirely possible the Titan streak continues. Touchdown Russell Wilson is amazing. To follow up the 2020 opener with 5 touchdown passes in consecutive games. I'm going to get Wilson 4 touchdown passes. Wilson up to the line of scrimmage. The crowd is going nuts. 4 wideouts, 5 men front by the Titans. Wilson the snap. 5 steps drop, looking left, throws right, has a man, DK Metcalf at the 40, across the 30, down inside the 20, at the 10, at the 5, touchdown! Seahawks! DK Metcalf, 40 yards! I think it's amazing what you're going to hear. This crowd is enough. For you fantasy lovers, go to superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports. That crowd's going to be amazing. The Titans have 5 losses. The past 5 losses included touchdown. Derrick Henry has touched the ball 100 times, but has not scored. That's a nugget for you, good old boys. I'm going Seahawks in a big way, 35-20 at Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington. The crowd will be amazing. All friend level war. Now, a game that might be the game of the week that people are looking forward to. I know a lot of people say, well, what do you mean game of the week? In my opinion, it's a game of the week on paper. At some point in time, to be a rival game, you got to have both teams winning. The Kansas City Chiefs 1-0 at the Baltimore Ravens 0-1. It's an 8:20 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on NBC Sports. And Kansas City is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. Baltimore's hurting. Touchdown, Superman Lamar Jackson. Touchdown, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has diced up the Ravens defense. 3 meetings. The Chiefs averaging 31 points a game. Baltimore's defense looked very vulnerable on Monday night when it allowed 33 points to the Raiders. The Chiefs are a better team than the Raiders. The Ravens have never given up more than 30 points in each of their first 2 games. They will on Sunday. You can clap for that, even though you're the home field. Touchdown, Patrick Mahomes is going to complete 6 throws of at least 20 yards. Those plays are always there for him against the Ravens team that blitzes a lot. You can't blitz Mahomes. They're going to leave themselves vulnerable to big throws. He has 16 such plays in his career starts against the Ravens coming into this game. Touchdown, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. The 2 highest total QBRs among quarterbacks to appear in 10-plus primetime games since 2006. People say that Jackson's 0-3 against Kansas City, that he's due. I don't think so. Kansas City is too good. I just think they're too good a team. And I think touchdown Patrick Mahomes not going to lose. Not in a matchup where you pit him quarterback on quarterback. And they did that against the Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But this is a different breed of team. The Chiefs without Tyreek Hill has 310 fantasy points for you guys. SuperDraftPro.com/Big C Sports. Tyreek Hill has 310 fantasy points over his past 12 games, playoffs included. DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver, has 287, so you know Hill's going to do his thing. But I'm going to this game. Mahomes is 8-3 against the spread for his career in September. I'm going to go with the Chiefs 30, Baltimore 21. 30-21, my opinion. Could be 30-24, but they're depleted. I'm going to go 30-21, and that's my thought, and I'm sticking with it. All fair level work. Final game for the NFL, I'm going to bring you for Big C's thoughts, and it's a game that maybe doesn't have a lot of intrigue outside of the two teams in the same division. The Detroit Lions 0-1 at the Green Bay Packers that got blasted. Both teams got blasted in Week 1. Monday, 8:15 p.m. kickoff, Monday Night Football, ESPN, and Green Bay is 11-point favorite. The ground, Lambeau Field should be rocking. Touchdown, Aaron Rodgers will get a standing ovation. But will he play better? This is really his second preseason game. He didn't play preseason. So how will the Lions try to defend touchdown Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense? The Saints blitzed him almost. They even blitzed him when he went to the bathroom last I checked, last I heard. Even in the bathroom, they were blitzing him. That's not right, but they did it. But they blitzed him twice. That's not a lot of blitzing, but they got to him quite a bit. You got to take away Devontae Adams. It's hard to take away touchdown Devontae Adams. I have a bold prediction. The Lions will pull off their first close game with Dan Campbell in the Jared Goff era, but I'm going to go, it's a close game, still going to go with the Green Bay Packers at home at Lambeau Field. Too much on the line. Detroit's running back duo of DeAndre Swift and also Jamal Williams will give the Packers problems, but most teams in the NFC in the North aren't used to facing the Lions team with a solid ground game. They got to run the ball a lot. Lambeau Field will be rocking. Touchdown Aaron Rodgers will break out of his slump, maybe even throw for 2 touchdowns. The Packers offense was bad in Week 1, but there will be a silver lining in Week 2. I'm just thinking touchdown Aaron Rodgers has to get his mind right. It's about a mental game for him. He had no touchdown passes, 2 interceptions Week 1 against the Saints. He's never had back-to-back games with 0 passing touchdowns as a starter. I think what you're going to hear in this game, the Packers up to the line of scrimmage. We have a 4 wideouts, 5-man front by the Lions. Devontae Adams out wide, the snap. Rodgers back, looking left, throws right, has Adams at the 30, inside the 20, at the 10, the 5, touchdown! Packers! 30 yards! Maybe not going downfield a lot, but some shorter passing games. It gives, in my opinion, the chance for the Packers to pull out a 24-17 win at Lambeau Field. And that's my thoughts, and I'm sticking with it. That's Big C's thoughts on the Week 2 of NFL football. We'll take the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. Going to come back and just run down some baseball matchups. In the words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, California governor, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 17 podcast platforms all over the universe. Really appreciate that. Also 4 TV platforms for Big C Sports. And now, fighting for some Major League Baseball. Are you ready for some baseball? Of course you are. We have a big schedule for you this Friday, the 17th of September. A lot of good boys all over this country getting ready to hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run, all fair, and level work. Going to start out in New York City. Yes, New York City. Cleveland, this is for you. It's the home fair and level work. Cleveland is flying into New York City, and they are taking on the Yankees. We have the counts full. Runners on first and third. The pitch swung on, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep, all fair and 11 were. The great on the mound, pay attention to Corey Kluber. Also at bat, Andres Jimenez and Roberto Perez. I didn't tell that story about why the Cleveland flew into LaGuardia this time. They heard about the Big C burger. They thought the C stood for Cleveland. This is for you. But it's for Big C. Rumor has it, I sent some Big C burgers to the Cleveland, the Guardians, the Indians, and they flew into LaGuardia. Because last time I told them when I sent my luggage to New York, Kennedy, JFK, some good old boys ate my Big C burgers. They called me from baggage claim, said, Mr. Curry, we found your luggage, but we can't confirm if there were any Big C burgers in the luggage. I said, all I had in the luggage was Big C burgers. They said, well, we can't confirm with the knife there's any barriers, but we did find 12 things. It's all fair in LaGuardia. So that's why they fly into LaGuardia. Should be a great series going into the weekend. Going to fly out of New York into Washington. Washington Dulles Airport. Colorado Rockies in town. We have runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball. And men love to hit deep on the pitching mound. German Marquez at bat. Josiah Gray. And then also Luis Garcia, as well as Kibit Reyes and Carter Kibum. I can only give you those names. My prop betting finger said if I want to keep all my fingers, can't give out more than that. All friend level. Gonna fly out of Washington into Toronto, Canada, because they start letting American teams in. All fair level war. The Minnesota Twins at the Toronto Blue Jays. Boy, that's a good team up in Toronto. We have runners on first and third. The counts for the pitch. Swung on, hit deep. Left field, that ball's in the ball. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball in Toronto, and men love to hit deep. All fair level war. On the mound pitching, Ross Stripling. Keep in mind, at bat, Byron Buxton. I can give you that name. Also, at bat, pay attention when Byron Buxton's up the bat. That's for your fantasy guys. SuperDraftPro.com/Big C Sports. Gonna fly out of Toronto into the beautiful city of Miami, Florida. Bienvenido a Miami. The Pittsburgh Pirates in town for the Miami Marlins. We have runners on first and third. The counts full. The pitch. Swung on a hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. If you want to know, say hello to my little friend. Came from Tony Montana, the great Al Pacino actor, and Scarface about 2 decades ago. When he says, say hello to my little friend, you don't want to be in front of him. So that makes sense to you. But pay attention on the mound. Will Crow pitching. At bat, Jesus Sanchez. Also, Will Crow at bat. That's for you, SuperDraftPro.com/Big C Sports. I'm going to fly out of Miami and fly into Boston, Logan International. And we have a great game on hand. Baltimore Orioles taking on the Boston Red Sox. And keep in mind, we have runners on first and third. The counts full, the pitch. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. All friend level war in Boston. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep in Boston. It can also hit deep with Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know why they have Dunkin' Donuts. They have the Big C coffee. It's a tasty coffee, and it comes with, what's all this exotic beans? Coming to a market near you on a happy Friday. On the mound pitching, Keegan Aiken. At bat, Jesus Iglesias, as well as Bobby Dahlbeck. All friend level. We're going to fly out of Boston, home of the Dunkin' Donut, into Tampa Bay, Florida. The Tampa Bay Rays take on the Detroit Tigers. We have the counts full. Runners on first and third. The pitch swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. All friend level war. Pitching, pay attention to Louis Patino. And then at bat, Kevin Cramier. That's what I'm going to give you for that as we fly out of Tampa into the city of New York, LaGuardia Airport, because we don't fly the JFK for some reason. It's all fair level war, just joking. Philadelphia Phillies at the New York Mets. We have runners on first and third. The counts full. The pitch swung on a hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. All friend level war. On the mound, pitching Zach Wheeler. He's a good old boy, can do his thing. Also, Michael Conforto at bat. Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo. Keep those names in mind. Gonna fly out of New York City into Cincinnati, where the Dodgers come to town. And they are licking at the chops because they know the Giants are a little bit sweating. They got a little bit of sweat coming out of their ears, if that makes sense to you. The Dodgers at Cincinnati. Runners on first and third. They count full. The pitch swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep in Cincinnati. Pitching the great Walker Buehler for the Dodgers. At bat, Kyle Farmer for the Reds. That's all I can give you. Gonna fly out of Cincinnati, and the Giants are paying attention to that game. The Dodgers and the Reds also. Chicago White Sox flying into Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth. We have runners on first and third. They count full. The pitch swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. In Texas, the girls love the long ball, and men love cowboy boots. What's all this cowboy boots for? It's all fair. In Leavenworth, pitching Dylan Chase on the mound, and then also for Tampa, Nathan Lowe. At bat, Jose Aldis Garcia. That's for your prop bettors on SuperDraftPro.com/Big C Sports. Going to fly into Milwaukee, the Chicago Cubs in town. We have runners on first and third. The count's full. The pitch swung on, hit deep. Center field, back to the wall. Home run! Say hello to my little friends. All fair, 11 warm. In Milwaukee, the girls love the long ball, and men love some type of cheesesteak. They should get the Big C burger. All fair, 11 war. Pitching on the mound, Adrian Hauser. At bat, Alfonso Rivas. Also, Patrick Wisdom. That's all I can give you for my prop bettors. Gonna fly to Kansas City, Missouri, Coppin, Seattle. Meredith in town. Runners on first and third. The count's full. The pitch swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. I love the fountains at Kauffman Stadium. The girls love the long ball, and men love steak in Kansas City. They should trade it for the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. On the mound, pitching John Heasley. At bat, Abraham Toro. Also Ty Francis. Those good old boys in Kansas City. I'm going to fly out of Kansas City into Houston. There's all these flash bulbs going off? Man, I can barely see. Everybody got to wear shades in Houston. All these flash bulbs going off. We have runners on first and third. The count's full. The pitch swung on. Hit deep. Left field. He's blinded by the light, and the ball drops at the fence. He couldn't see it because he was blinded by some flash bulbs. All fair, 11 war. The girls love the long ball, and men love to record games in Houston. All fair, 11 war. On the mound, Madison Baumgartner. That good old boy can throw for Arizona. At bat, the great Alex Bergman. And also Carson Kelly. Keep those names in mind. Just a couple more games for Major League Baseball on a beautiful September 17th. San Diego flies into St. Louis. What a great ballpark in St. Louis. Runners on first and third. The count's pull. The pitch swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. The girls love the long ball, and the men love to hit deep in St. Louis. Pitching, Vince Velasquez. Also at bat, Tyler O'Neill. Those are my prop betting names I can give you. Also at bat, Paul Goldsmith. Keep in mind when he comes at the bat. And then Tommy Edman. I'm going to give you just a couple more games. The Oakland A's will fly into Anaheim. And the great Shohei Ohtani is on the men for pitching this year, so it's done for the year pitching. We'll see what happens when he's at bat. But we have runners on first and third. The count's full. The pitch swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. All fair and 11 war. The A's are 79-67 overall, and they're 39-33 away. The Angels are 72-74 in the season. They're 37-34 at home. I don't have that lineup yet on the pitching matchup, but I'm going to bring you to the final game tonight. In Northern California, the Bay Area, I left my heart in San Francisco. I'm telling you, the Giants, they're really watching what happens with the Dodgers game today. They're about a game ahead or a half game, depending on what happens. The Braves are 76-68. They're 39-32 away. The Giants are 95-52, the best record in baseball. They're 47-25 at home, but they dropped to the Padres. They can't afford to drop any more games because the Dodgers are coming around that mountain like a locomotive. But we have runners on first and third. The count's full. The pitch swung on. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. McCovey goes. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. And San Francisco has to hit deep in this series. The away pitcher for the Braves is Ian Anderson. He has a 3.61 ERA. He's a Jedi Knight. He's a gunslinger. Not so fast, my friend. The home pitcher for the Giants is Logan Webb. He should do his thing. His ERA is down into the twos. And he has a 2.05 ERA. He's a Jedi Knight. He's a gunslinger. And he should do his thing tonight. He has to, because the Giants are breathing heavy. And the Dodgers are coming around that mountain as you come. All fair, 11 war. I went an abbreviated longer game tonight for Big C Sports Podcast because I wanted to get a lot of stuff in, testing out this new podcast platform that I have. All fair, 11 war. I really appreciate everybody that follows Big C Sports all over the universe. Pay attention to SuperDraftPro.com/Big Big C Sports. It's all fair and level. All you high school kids out playing games tonight, please don't drink and drive. Don't let people drink and drive. You want to get home safely. Everybody wants to get home safely. You don't do that by drinking and driving. Get home safely. I love paying homage to my family members of Big C Sports. Espy nominated Big C Sports. No teleprompters. I produce the show. I direct the pro. No producer in my ear. I do all the sound effects. I broadcast the show. I do all the commercials. I do all of that. You can clap for that. The storytelling, the stats, the play-by-play. I upload to 17 podcast platforms all over the universe. And I never miss the show. That's for the $10 million in the sponsorship. Really appreciate the package that I'm getting. It's all fair and level work. I also want to pay attention to my pastor friends who might be perturbed that football started up on a Sunday. As God said in Genesis 13:15, for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. The book of James 4:2 says, we have not because we ask not. So ask anything you want in life, just ask. The answer is always yes or no. As I always say, back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? As my mama always says, there's never an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. For USC, go get Nick Saban, O.J. Simpson. O.J., they're going down the 405. O.J. Hayes in the back of the truck with Nick Saban. He has a gun to his head. He's signing the contract as we speak. Go big or go home. Go big or go home, USC. As we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day. Everybody needs an arc in their life.